Wow, that's such a cool idea to build. Why didn't I figure it out myself? Let me show you a guide to building a bloop.
Round 1.
I start right in the middle of the lake because I think a sea monster looks much cooler when it is surrounded by water instead of sitting on land. The first thing I work on is the mouth. I use regular stone blocks together with stone stairs because a giant mouth made from only square blocks usually looks too stiff. The stairs help create a smoother curve around the jaw, and that makes the creature feel more natural. I do not want my bloop to be huge because really large builds can take a very long time. But I still want it to have plenty of volume. A lot of beginners focus only on length and forget about width and height. Then their creatures end up looking like flat noodles floating on the water. I keep checking the shape from different angles to make sure the mouth already feels thick enough. Since the mouth is the most important part of a bloop, getting the proportions right here makes every later step much easier. If somebody is following this tutorial, spending extra time on the jaw is usually worth it because the entire creature depends on that foundation. The mouth shape is looking good, so I begin extending the body behind it. I try not to rush this part because the body needs to match the size of the head. If the body is too small, the creature looks strange. If it is too large, the mouth loses all of its impact. I place blocks gradually and pay attention to how the shape looks above the water. Water can actually make judging proportions difficult because reflections change how players see the build. I keep adding layers and trying to create gentle curves rather than sharp edges. Real animals rarely have perfectly straight lines in their bodies, so even in Minecraft, I think a little curvature helps a lot. While building, I also leave room for future details like fins in the tail. Planning ahead is something I am slowly learning. Sometimes I build everything first and then realize there is no space left for important features. This time, I want the creature to feel balanced from the very beginning. Now I start detailing the inside of the mouth. I place black concrete blocks deep inside because dark colors instantly create depth. Without the black blocks, the mouth would look shallow and unfinished. It is funny how changing only a few blocks can completely change the feeling of a build. The mouth suddenly starts looking much larger than it really is. After that, I move on to the teeth. Quartz slabs and quartz stairs are perfect for this because they look brighter and sharper than stone. I like using multiple block shapes for teeth because every tooth does not have to look identical. Natural creatures usually have small imperfections, and those imperfections often make a build more believable. I also think about visibility. Bright white teeth stand out very clearly against the dark mouth interior. If someone sees the creature from far away, the teeth immediately catch their attention. That contrast helps create a stronger silhouette and makes the bloop feel much more dangerous. The creature still needs a little personality, so I begin working on the eyes. Instead of making large, complicated eyes, I use wooden buttons. Small details can sometimes be surprisingly effective. The buttons create tiny highlights on the face and help viewers understand exactly where the creature is looking. I also place a few buttons around some of the teeth to add extra texture. Many builders ignore details because they seem insignificant, but details often make the difference between a build that looks unfinished and a build that feels complete. While looking at the head from different directions, I try to imagine how players would see it while boating across the lake. The face should be recognizable even from a distance. That is why I prefer clear shapes instead of overly complicated decorations. A simple design with strong details usually works better than a complex design that becomes difficult to read. With the front finished, I move to the back and begin creating the tail. I raise it well above the water because I want the bloop to look active rather than floating like a log. When part of a creature breaks the water surface, it instantly creates a sense of movement and energy. I continue shaping the body so the transition into the tail feels smooth. Then I add the side fins. Fins may not be the largest part of the creature, but they play a huge role in the overall silhouette. If I remove them, the build would immediately lose some of its identity. I keep adjusting their size until they feel proportional to the body. Finally, I take a step back and look at the entire creature. It is not enormous, but it has a strong mouth, visible teeth, a raised tail, and clear fins. That combination gives it enough character to stand out. For a relatively simple build, I think it does a good job capturing the idea of a mysterious creature hiding beneath the water. Phew, it took so much effort. Great! My bloop is ready.
Oh, wow!
Yahoo! We're going to build a bloop today. I love teaching you new things. Mikey, is that all you've built in that time? Is this really a bloop?
JJ, you only know how to offend me. By the way, I tried very hard.
Mikey, but this is practically the most common whale. You even made his mouth look so small.
Oh, that's it. Stop judging. Maybe then you'll show me how to build a bloop?
Of course, we ran to the place.
JJ, I'm not sure you're going to make it. But in any case, good luck to you. I'll wait for you at the house.
Thanks, then I'll start. Round 2. I begin by establishing the most recognizable feature of the bloop, the mouth. Rather than starting with the body, I prefer to define the focal point first because it determines the scale of everything that follows. The mouth is constructed from light gray concrete, a material that provides a clean surface while still resembling the coloration of many marine animals. I carefully shape the upper and lower jaws, making sure they are large enough to dominate the design. A creature known for its terrifying appearance should immediately draw attention to its mouth. When creating large organic builds, proportions matter far more than decorative details during the early stages. If the jaw dimensions are incorrect, no amount of later refinement will fully solve the problem. By focusing on the mouth first, I establish a strong framework that guides every future decision throughout the build. With the jaw structure complete, I begin detailing the interior. Black concrete is placed deep inside the mouth to create shadows and visual depth. Without darker colors, large openings often appear flat and unrealistic. I also introduce red concrete in selected areas to make the interior feel more organic and dramatic. Color contrast is one of the most effective tools available to builders. The difference between the dark interior and the bright teeth immediately attracts attention and makes the mouth appear larger than it actually is. Viewers often underestimate how much color influences scale perception. A carefully designed color palette can dramatically increase the visual impact of a creature without requiring additional structural complexity. This is especially useful in tutorials where efficiency and appearance must work together. Next, I construct the teeth using quartz stairs. Quartz is an excellent choice because its bright color contrasts strongly against the darker mouth interior. Stairs also provide angled surfaces, which help the teeth appear sharper than standard blocks. Sharp silhouettes are important because predators are often identified by their teeth long before viewers notice other features. I intentionally vary some of the positioning rather than creating a perfectly uniform row. Natural organisms tend to contain small irregularities, and those imperfections contribute to realism. While building, I constantly evaluate the creature from multiple distances. A good design should remain recognizable both from nearby inspection and from far across the water. Strong shapes and strong contrast help achieve that goal. The head continues taking shape as I add eyes made from wither skeleton skulls. These skulls provide much more detail than ordinary blocks and immediately create a darker, more intimidating expression. Eye placement is critical because it determines how viewers emotionally interpret a creature. Even small adjustments can make a build appear aggressive, curious, or neutral. In this case, I want the bloop to look powerful and slightly unsettling. Once the eyes are in place, I refine the overall head shape. The design resembles a dolphin in some respects, but the mouth is exaggerated dramatically to create a monstrous appearance. Combining familiar animal anatomy with exaggerated features often produces the most convincing fantasy creatures because viewers subconsciously recognize elements of real-world biology. I now move on to the side fins. These structures play an important role in balancing the silhouette of the creature. Without fins, the head would dominate too much of the design and the body would feel incomplete. I use gray concrete to maintain consistency throughout the model. Consistent materials help unify large builds and prevent them from looking fragmented. As the fins extend outward, the creature begins occupying more visual space, despite not gaining much additional length. This demonstrates an important design principle. Width can be just as valuable as length when creating an impressive silhouette. Builders often focus exclusively on making creatures longer, but strategic use of width frequently creates a more memorable result. The body extends farther behind the head, gradually tapering toward the tail. I pay close attention to volume distribution during this stage. Marine animals generally become narrower as they approach the tail, and replicating that principle helps the build feel believable. The tail itself rises several blocks above the water. This decision is intentional because elevation creates a sense of motion. A perfectly horizontal tail would make the creature appear static, while a raised tail suggests active swimming or diving. At the very end, I add a tail fin that completes the silhouette. By now, every major component is present. The massive mouth, expressive eyes, side fins, streamlined body, and elevated tail. Together, these elements create a creature that feels cohesive rather than assembled from unrelated parts. As I review the completed build, I realize something important. Although the creature looks good, it lacks the scale necessary to compete with truly spectacular builds. Rather than pretending otherwise, I decide to take a different approach. Using a command, I instantly place a previously constructed bloop that I created earlier. The difference is enormous. This version towers above the water and features an unbelievably large mouth filled with intricate details. The level of realism is on another level entirely. Massive curves define the body. The proportions are carefully refined, and every section contains advanced detailing techniques. Sometimes, a project demonstrates an important lesson. Scale alone does not create quality. But when excellent proportions, strong detailing, and realistic shaping are combined with scale, the result becomes unforgettable. This gigantic bloop transforms the entire scene and immediately establishes itself as the centerpiece of the lake. Great, my bloop is ready. It's time for me to show it to the guys.
Wow, JJ, you did, JJ. I'm just shocked. How did you physically manage to place so many thousands of blocks in these few minutes? Building this huge, detailed mouth of a bloop requires an unrealistic click rate. Besides, you would have to constantly fly far back to make your jaw so perfectly proportioned. Your hands must be smoking from this speed of construction, because I just don't see any other logical explanation for this masterpiece.
Thank you, Mikey. I'm very glad that you liked my building. Well, I think it's time for us to finish.
Yes, JJ, you're right.
Subscribe and like. Bye-bye.
Wow, building on time? I've been wanting to try to build something for speed for a long time. Let's learn how to build Godzilla.
Round 1.
I want my Godzilla to look big and simple, so I use black wool for almost the whole body. Black wool is a nice block for creatures because it gives one strong shadow color and helps the shape stand out from far away. I start with the legs first because legs are like the base of a statue. If the feet and legs look wrong, the whole monster will feel weak. After that, I stretch out a long tail behind him. A tail is not just decoration. It helps the body feel balanced, because a heavy creature looks more believable when some mass goes to the back too. Right away, I add purple wool on the spine to make those sharp back scales. Purple looks cool against black and gives the monster that glowing power feeling. Then I build the head in front and leave the mouth open so he looks angry and alive. I also add his tiny arms from black wool because small front arms are part of his classic shape. Inside the mouth, I place white wool slabs for teeth. Slabs are thinner than full blocks, so the teeth look sharper. Phew, I barely made it on time. Great, my Godzilla is ready.
What? Hello?
Hey, Banana Kid. Look, I built it in just 1 minute. Do you like?
Yay!
Really? I am very glad that you like my makeshift construction. Maybe then you can try to build Godzilla yourself in just 10 minutes?
Ta-da!
They ran to the place. This is where your building will be. Are you ready?
Yay!
Then go ahead.
Round 2.
I am watching Banana Kid build his Godzilla now. And of course he starts with the tail instead of the body. He uses coal blocks, and I get why. Coal blocks are dark, solid, and they look harder than wool, so they are good for a heavy monster. He begins low on the ground and stretches the tail backward in a long line. Starting with the tail is actually a smart move, because the tail sets the direction and scale of the whole creature. If the tail is too short, Godzilla looks tiny. If it is too thick, he looks like a weird log. Banana keeps changing the width a little as he goes, which helps the tail feel more natural. Real animal tails usually narrow toward the end, and that taper makes the shape smoother. I tell him the tail already looks dangerous, and he just makes one of his happy sounds. He is not saying words, but I can tell he likes making giant monsters out of dark blocks. Now Banana starts using coal slabs and coal stairs on the tail to soften the shape. That is a good building trick. Full blocks alone make curves look too chunky, but slabs and stairs let a builder change height in smaller steps. Smaller steps are important when shaping animals, because living things are rarely perfect cubes. He adds the stairs along the top and sides, so the tail feels rounded instead of flat. I tease him a little and say he is giving Godzilla a fancy tail, but honestly, the detail helps a lot. In design, a tail should look like it can swing, and smooth edges make that movement easier to imagine. Coal is also a nice material here, because it keeps the same dark color while giving different shapes. That means Banana can add detail without breaking the color pattern. The tail is getting narrower near the end, and that makes the whole build feel more balanced and less like a pile of black bricks in the water or on the grass. After the tail feels good enough, Banana jumps to the front and starts building the head. He uses more coal blocks and mixes in some slabs and stairs again so the face does not become a square box. The head is one of the most important parts of any monster build because people look at the face first. If the face is clear, the creature is easy to recognize. He shapes the snout out toward the front and leaves space for a mouth. A long front jaw works well for Godzilla because it makes him look like a giant reptile. Reptiles usually have strong jaws and a head that pushes forward instead of being round like a teddy bear. I walk around the side and I can already see the profile. That side view matters a lot in creature building. Even if the front looks nice, the build can still fail if the side shape is boring. Banana is actually making the head look pretty fierce with just dark blocks and good angles. Banana Kid has only 7 minutes left. He needs to hurry up. Banana keeps working on the face and the top of the skull. He adds more coal stairs near the mouth and forehead so the head gets a better slope. Slopes are useful because they guide the eye from the nose up to the top of the head without harsh jumps. In real animal design, bones and muscles create natural curves, and stairs are one of the easiest Minecraft tools for copying that feeling. He also leaves the mouth area open enough for details later. That is smart planning, because if he closes the jaw too early, there will be no room for teeth. I ask him if his Godzilla is going to bite me, and he just wiggles around and makes a silly noise. The face still looks dark and simple, but the shape is doing most of the work. That is an important lesson for statue builds. Good silhouettes matter more than tiny details. If the outline is right, the monster already looks strong before any extra decoration appears. Now, Banana moves to the front and builds the small front arms. He places them low on the chest and points them outward a little. The arms are short, which is correct for Godzilla. If he made them too long, the monster would start looking like a different dinosaur. Short front limbs help keep the classic body proportions. He uses coal blocks again, and I think that is a good choice because the arms need to connect clearly to the body without too much color noise. time. Is he sure he'll make it? Creature design works best when the main body stays one color and the accents go on special features like spikes or teeth. I tell Banana his little arms look funny, but in a friendly way, because Godzilla always has those tiny arms compared to the huge body. He shapes them just enough to show an elbow and a hand area. Even simple bends are important. Straight stick arms look stiff, while one small angle makes the pose feel much more alive. After that, he goes to the sides and starts the big back legs. These legs are much larger than the front arms, and that is exactly how they should be. The rear legs carry most of the weight for a giant creature, so they need to look thick and strong. Banana builds them wide at the top and more solid near the feet. That wider upper part is useful because it suggests heavy muscles. Large animals need strong hips and thighs to support body mass. He keeps using coal blocks for the main shape, and the dark color makes the whole monster read as one solid form. I watch him from the front, and the body finally starts looking stable. Before the legs, it was just a tail and a face with attitude. Now it actually feels like a creature that could stand and stomp around. I tell him the back legs are doing all the hard work while the tiny arms are just pretending. And he squeaks, like he agrees with me. Three minutes to go. Banana Kid, hurry up! Banana decides the back needs more size, so he adds purple sand blocks along the sides of the upper body and spine area. That is an interesting material choice. Purple sand has a softer texture than coal, so it stands out as a different surface right away. Using a different block on the back helps create those famous Godzilla plates and makes the body look wider. Wider backs are important for giant monsters because a narrow spine can make them look weak. The extra blocks also help connect the head area to the tail better, so the whole silhouette flows from front to back. Then he goes to the front and adds more coal blocks on the belly. A full belly is important because it gives the body volume. If a creature has only a back and no belly, it feels hollow. I have to admit this step helps a lot. The monster is starting to look chunky, powerful, and much more complete than before. For the last details, Banana goes back to the mouth and places quartz slabs inside for teeth. Quartz is perfect here because the bright white color contrasts strongly with the dark coal face. Teeth need contrast or they disappear into the mouth. Slabs are also better than full blocks because they are thinner and look sharper, which is exactly what teeth should do. He puts them along the upper and lower jaw, so the mouth looks dangerous but still neat. I tell him that white teeth are doing a lot of work for the face, and that is true. Small, bright details often bring a dark build to life. Now his Godzilla has a long tail, a heavy body, strong rear legs, tiny front arms, a big head, purple back plates, and a mouth full of teeth. It is a funny mix of scary and silly. Banana just stands there making proud little sounds, and I think he knows he built a pretty cool monster today. There are only a few minutes left. Banana seems to be finishing up already.
Ta-da! Yay!
Where did everyone run off to? Hey guys, what's that noise you're making?
Banana Kid and I are building a Godzilla on time, JJ. Who did it better?
Oh, both of your buildings look great, but I think it's up to the audience to decide who did the best.
Yes, JJ, you're right. Maybe then you have comments on the construction of Banana Kid.
It seems to me that in 5 minutes, Mikey built a more detailed Godzilla in 5 minutes than Banana Kid did in 10 minutes.
I totally agree with you, JJ. Maybe then you can build your Godzilla in 15 minutes?
Okay, then let's run to the place.
JJ, good luck to you. We'll wait in the house.
That's that?
Thanks, guys. Then I'm starting. Round 3. I begin my Godzilla with the left leg because the legs define the height, weight, and stance of the entire creature. I use coal blocks for the main structure and quartz stairs for the claws. Coal blocks are ideal for the skin because they create a dark, heavy surface that feels dense and reptilian. Quartz stairs are excellent for claws because their sloped shape looks sharp without becoming too thick. I start wide at the foot, then gradually increase the volume toward the ankle and thigh. This matters from a physics point of view. A giant creature needs broad support at ground level and stronger mass higher up where muscles would carry the body. I also angle the toes slightly forward so the pose feels active rather than stiff. Even a statue looks more believable when the feet suggest direction. The first leg now establishes scale, posture, and balance, and that gives me a reliable foundation for the rest of the build. Next, I construct the second leg on the right side using the same coal and quartz system. Keeping both legs consistent is very important. If one leg is taller or thicker than the other without a pose reason, the creature will look unstable. I match the width of the foot, the height of the shin, and the slope of the upper leg, so the two sides work as a pair. Symmetry in support structures is one of the simplest ways to make a large statue feel grounded. I do not copy the shape blindly though. I check the angle from the front and from the side to be sure both legs read clearly when viewed at a distance. The quartz claws help a lot because they mark the direction of the feet and break up the dark coal with a bright accent. With both rear legs finished, the body now has a convincing load-bearing base. That is essential before adding the torso, because all upper mass depends visually on these supports. With the lower supports ready, I begin the torso and the underside of the body. I use a combination of full coal blocks, coal slabs, and coal stairs. This mix is critical. Full blocks provide structural bulk, slabs help with shallow transitions, and stairs create smoother curves for the belly. A Godzilla body should not look like a plain rectangle. It needs a rounded underside and a heavy center of mass. I build the lower torso first because the belly controls how the chest connects to the legs and how the tail can later attach to the rear. In creature design, the stomach area often acts like the bridge between front and back motion. If that section is too thin, the monster feels weak. If it is too deep, the legs can look too short. I keep the belly broad and slightly lowered, which suggests tremendous internal weight and gives the statue a powerful silhouette from the side. Now, I move to the front and build the small forearms stretched outward. I use coal blocks for the arm mass and quartz for the claws at the ends. Godzilla is famous for having relatively small front arms compared to the rest of the body, so keeping them short is important for character accuracy. However, short does not mean careless. I still give each arm a shoulder area, a bend through the elbow, and a hand section with visible claws. Those small shape changes help the pose feel alive. Stretching the arm slightly forward is a useful design choice because it pulls visual energy toward the head and opens the chest area. Quartz claws work again because they are bright and instantly readable. Contrast is especially useful on dark statues. A small white detail can define a whole hand. With the front arms attached, the creature now has a recognizable posture and begins to feel much more like Godzilla rather than a generic dinosaur. Above the chest, I start the muzzle and the front of the head using coal blocks. I shape the snout so it extends forward with a clear upper jaw and lower jawline. In creature building, the head is the main identity marker, and the snout length is especially important for a reptilian monster. A short face would make the build look too soft, while a long front jaw creates the proper predatory profile. I use stairs and slabs where needed to reduce hard jumps between the forehead, nose, and mouth. Smoother transitions are essential because skulls are made of planes and curves, not simple cubes. I leave enough open space inside the jaws for the interior mouth later. Planning that empty space now prevents me from crushing the expression when I add teeth and color. The head already has a strong silhouette, and from the side, it clearly reads as an aggressive forward-facing monster rather than a passive statue. I continue with the facial details by installing the teeth and the eyes. For the teeth, I use quartz because the bright white color stands out perfectly against the coal mouth. Teeth need strong contrast to read as sharp features rather than random blocks. For the eyes, I combine quartz with yellow concrete. Quartz gives a bright outer edge, while yellow concrete provides a vivid iris that looks alert and slightly dangerous. This combination works very well in simple pixel design because the white and yellow together create a focus point that draws attention instantly. I place the eyes carefully so the expression feels intense but not goofy. Eye position changes the entire emotion of a creature. Too high, and it looks surprised. Too low, and it can look sleepy. Once the eyes, teeth, and jawline are correct, I complete the rest of the head with coal blocks, locking in the skull shape and the upper cranium. I still have a lot of time left. I definitely have to do everything in time. With the front complete, I turn to the back and begin constructing the long spine. I use coal blocks again as the main structural material because the back needs to connect the body to the tail in one continuous dark mass. The upper line of the spine is very important in silhouette design. A strong rising back gives the creature a powerful profile and helps the dorsal spikes feel supported later. I do not keep the spine perfectly flat. Instead, I raise and lower it gently so it feels organic, almost like a chain of heavy vertebrae under thick skin. This subtle variation matters because large reptiles and monsters rarely have one straight top line. They have weight shifts and muscular transitions. I also make sure the back remains thick enough to house interior space later, since this Godzilla is not just a statue, but also a usable structure. The back now acts as both an exterior shape and a roofline for the rooms inside. After establishing the spine, I build the tail and begin adding the jagged dorsal details. The tail starts thick near the body and narrows gradually toward the end. Tapering is essential here. A tail that stays the same width becomes stiff and unrealistic, while a narrowing tail suggests flexibility and natural motion. For the jagged ridges and spikes, I add quartz blocks along key sections. Quartz is a strong visual choice because the bright color pops against the dark coal and immediately reads as sharp, bone-like plates. Those contrasting spikes also help guide the eye from the back toward the tail tip. In real creature design, repeated spikes create rhythm, and rhythm makes a long shape more interesting to look at. I avoid placing them at the exact same height every time, because small variation makes them feel more organic. The tail now has both structure and character, and it extends the energy of the build far beyond the body itself. Once the tail is in place, I inspect the underside and notice several gaps below it and inside the rear body. These gaps would weaken the silhouette and make the monster look hollow from low angles, so I fill them with more coal blocks. Closing these voids is important for two reasons. First, it restores the visual mass that a giant tail should have where it connects to the body. Second, it strengthens the interior shell so future rooms do not feel exposed. I also continue refining the spine and the inner portion of the tail. Interior tail space must be handled carefully because the shape narrows rapidly. I keep enough room for the structure to feel useful while preserving the external taper. This is a good example of balancing design and function. A creature build can look impressive outside, but if the inside ignores the outer form, the whole project feels less thoughtful. Here, I make both parts cooperate. I've got half the time left. I'm kind of in time. Now, I return to the mouth and give it a proper interior by placing red terracotta inside. This is a simple but very effective color decision. Red terracotta has a warm, earthy tone that reads well as inner mouth tissue without becoming overly bright. A mouth should contrast with the outside skin, or the jaws and teeth will lose depth. By adding the red interior behind the quartz teeth, I create a much stronger layered effect. The white teeth move forward visually. The red mouth sits deeper, and the black coal skull frames everything around them. That three-color arrangement is excellent for readability. It is also a good lesson in visual depth. You do not always need complex shapes if your colors clearly separate front, middle, and back planes. After this change, the face looks far more alive and expressive. The head is now fully complete and carries a strong, aggressive personality. With the exterior complete enough, I move inside the body and begin preparing the living space. I add inner walls and floors to divide the hollow torso into usable rooms. This is a very important architectural step. A giant shell can feel empty and confusing if the interior has no structure. By adding floors, I create levels with clear functions. By adding walls, I define circulation and privacy. I keep the internal lines simple so they fit the natural curve of the body without wasting too much room. The belly becomes a practical lower zone, while the upper torso can support a second level. When converting a statue into a base, the key challenge is respecting the outer shape while giving the inside flat surfaces for furniture. I solve that by using straight interior partitions inside a curved shell. The result is a comfortable compromise between creature form and human use. Oh no, time flies so fast, I didn't even notice. It is time to furnish the lower level. I place a bed, a nightstand, and a lamp to create a sleeping corner first. A bed is always a logical starting point because rest is the most basic function of a living space. I also add anvils with leaves as decorative elements. The dark metal of the anvils matches the heavy mood of the coal structure, while the leaves soften the room and bring in a little natural color. Then, I place wardrobes for clothing and shoes, so the lower level has organized storage. Storage is essential in compact builds because loose items make a room feel chaotic very quickly. To connect the levels cleanly, I add stairs leading upward. Stairs are much more comfortable than ladders for regular movement inside a large base, especially when the structure has enough width. The lower floor now feels like a proper room rather than just empty space inside a monster. On the second floor, I create the more technical and magical part of the base. I place more wardrobes for clothing and shoes. Then I add bookshelves and an enchanting table. Bookshelves are excellent here because they make the upper level feel smarter and more detailed, and they visually frame the enchanting area. I also install a brewing stand and a cauldron with water to make a compact alchemy corner. Those blocks fit well on an upper floor because they suggest a quieter workspace away from the sleeping zone below. After that, I place chests for storage and furnaces for practical crafting and smelting needs. Finally, near the exit, I add a trapdoor and ladders. A trapdoor is useful because it creates a clean, controlled opening without taking much room, and ladders provide a direct route out when space gets tight. My Godzilla is now more than a statue. It is a fully designed creature-shaped base with structure, detail, and livable rooms inside. Last minute, I have to hurry. Great! My Godzilla's ready. It's time for me to show it to the guys.
What?
Wow, JJ, you've got such a big Godzilla. He's so creepy.
Thank you guys. I am very glad that you liked my building. Friends, be sure to write in the comments whose building you like the most. Well, I think it's time for us to finish.
Yes, JJ, you're right.
Subscribe and like. Bye-bye.